ADME stands for, you try to remember the acronym ADME. AD is ad, advertisement, me is me, you can remember like that. ADME. A is for absorption, not adsorption, it is absorption. D is for distribution. M is for metabolism. E for elimination or excretion. So what is this? When you take the tablet, automatically it will go into the stomach. Here the cells, they will absorb the chemical and they will be distributed throughout the body, and in the distribution it will go to liver. Their metabolism takes place. After metabolism it will be utilized and it will be excreted to kidneys. This is the story, and in detail we are going to see how the absorption process and distribution and metabolism and excretion takes place in the body. The same thing I have repeated with this slide only. So absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. Add me. And we can expect a long question from this. So when you absorb, it will go into the blood. From blood, automatically this blood will be transporting to the tissue levels, and it will also go to liver where metabolism takes place, and after the consumption it will be eliminated. This is the story. This is the roadmap of the body. So first let us see what is absorption. So absorption is nothing but administration. Administration means it is taking the medicine. Generally it is called as administration or absorption. The drug moves from administration site to bloodstream to tissue. When you take the drug, what will happen? The drug, whether it is tablet or injection or a nozzle spray or whatever it may be, when you take the drug, it will go into bloodstream. Often by a mucous surface like digestive tract or internal reduction. The drug is also, when you take it, what will happen? It will, in the internal, a thin wall will be there with the digestive tract or internal digestive system. That will, initially when you take the tablet, it will go like this. So if it is English injection, that will go in a different way. So different drugs, they will travel in different way. Just I am telling you for the sake of basic knowledge. When you take the tablet, it will go into stomach. Stomach, it is its wall, it is having a mucous surface which is very sensitive and very thin. So drug will get into the blood stream from there. It is nothing but a simple door, where if the door is open, you can enter into it. So you should go to the door or gate first, then you can get into it. Like this, when the administration of the drug is taking place, it will go into this bloodstream through these membranes. And these are the factors which are hindering the drug administration. If the drug is poorly soluble, if the drug, when you put into the water, if it is not getting dissolved, the drug may not be able to absorb. Or gastric emptying. I put stomach. Gastric is nothing but stomach. If your stomach is very full, the drug may not be able to absorb. So when you are taking medicine, you should not eat heavy food. And intestinal transit time. The drug, when you transit it, whether it is staying for 1 minute or half an hour, that is also important. Because if immediately it will go into the small intestine, that will come out from the stool. So that the drug will not be utilized. So how much time it is staying in the intestine, that is also important. And chemical instability in the stomach. If the chemical, whatever you are taking, it is not stable in the stomach, automatically it will not be absorbed or it cannot be taken into the bloodstream. Inability to fuse the intestinal wall. And these intestinal walls, there's a small membrane, I said, which is very thin membrane. Drug will go and it will infuse. It will attach to the intestine and slowly it will penetrate and it will get into the bloodstream. If the drug it is having inability to infuse, automatically the drug will not be absorbed into the body. And when you take the drug orally, what will happen? It will go to, when you gulp the tablet with water, it will go into stomach, which is called as GIT, gastrointestinal tract. When it is going to go into the stomach, what will happen? There the tablet, it will be disintegrated. That means bigger tablet will become small pieces or granules. It is something like small, like sand. It will be converted into the small molecules. After that, it will dissolve in the solution, aqueous media. Because intestine, along with tablet, we will drink some water. So when water is available, automatically this digestion takes place. Here the molecular weight also plays an important role. Just is a simple point here, because if the molecular weight is around 100 to 500, the smaller the size, the more is the absorption. This is what you are supposed to remember. If the molecule is very big, it will not easily go into the absorption part. When the molecular size is small, we need time. They will allow to keep the drug into into internal intestine for longer time, so that it can be assimilated. So if it is oral, the stomach and intestine, the portal circulation will take place. This is portal circulation. When it comes to the stomach, drug will be dissolved and it will be absorbed, and it will come into the tissues, and this will be called as portal circulation. Here from the tissues it will get into the blood. This is called as portal circulation when it comes to stomach and intestine, and these balls will take the drug system, the drug, and it will slowly send into blood. So that is called as portal circulation. For pre-rectal or rectum, it is called as systemic circulation, or intramuscular. This is also systemic circulation. So when you give the injection intramuscularly, or if you put in the rectum, what will happen? Automatically slowly it will come to the tissue. From there it will enter into the blood and it will go to the heart. The heart, it will pump to the total body. So this is called as systemic. So there is a light difference, better. There is nothing but if you take the tablet, it will go into the stomach. Here portal circulation will circulate the drug into the blood. Whereas if it is a muscle or rectum, they will go into the heart. From there they will be circulated. So no absorption is needed if given intravenously. When you directly give into the blood cells, these systems need not to go. But if they are not directly given into the blood, if you go into the stomach, you remember two words. When it goes to the stomach, it is portal circulation. When it is rectum or in the muscle injections, it is systemic circulation. If it is intravenous, directly the drug will enter into the bloodstream. So whatever some of the important points I will discuss here. Drug administration by oral or absorbed in GIT, small intestine. Sublingual drugs, sublingual means which are kept under tongue, which are called sublingual, spread vocal mucosa. Some drugs are absorbed directly from the rectum. Some more drugs are administered through skin, called as epithelial. There may be some layers in the skin, so that is called as epithelial. The mostly high lipid soluble drugs are administered under the skin or subcutaneous. This is important beta. Here high lipid means those who are fat dissolving drugs are there. They will be given subcutaneously or under the skin, because there will be skin. If you see chicken or mutton, what will happen? A skin will be there. In lower part you will have the fat, then you will have the muscle. So when you are giving injection, whether it is skin or muscle or in the fat, when you are giving into the fat soluble compound, the fat is having a lot of importance in the body. In next slides I will explain why. When we go into the other parts, we will come to know. Because if it is fat soluble drug is there, immediately it will affect to the body. But when it is water soluble, it is somewhat difficult, because the body, it is having more lipid sections. So the highly lipid soluble drugs are administered under the skin subcutaneous. And parenteral route injections into the tissue fluid or blood. Further, volatile gases, and when you take inhalation, generally we will take through the nostrils and vapors, whatever we will take, these vapors will be in the form of gases. They will enter the bloodstream rapidly from the lungs, and from lungs also they will go. So what we have seen, whether it can be a tablet from the stomach, or it can be an injection through the muscle, or it will be through rectum, or it can be through nose or ear, whatever it may be. There are different way of administrating the drugs. So when you take the drug with inhalation is there, automatically 60% of the consumption will be there. This will go to lungs. From there it will completely absorbed and to the lung, and then it will go into systematic. That means it will come into blood supply. And if it is mouth, automatically it will go into the stomach. From stomach it will GI tract. This is called a GI tract, gastrointestinal tract, and here it will be absorbed. From here with portal it will go into the liver, and from it will come into the bloodstream. So this is the method. Whether it can be from the lungs, from the if it is a muscle and muscle also follow similar method. If a ionized molecule is there, because I told you cell membrane it is having made of fat. So when it is a lipid soluble non-ionized molecule, it will easily enter from this here to here. Whereas if it is ionized molecule, when water soluble, this membrane will not allow. The logic is the membrane is made of lipid. So lipid and lipid, it is like dissolves like. So when it is a non-ion molecule or lipid soluble molecule, immediately it will enter into the cell and it will go into the cell. Whereas if it is having a positive and negative charges, the membrane it will not be easily allow this molecule to enter into the cell membrane. That's why I told you, when you are taking lipid soluble or fat soluble drugs, they are immediately effect, and when they are water soluble, it will take more time for the transcription. And it is something like this. I am giving an example of industry. Here a policeman is standing. If you are having, if you fat molecule are there, automatically you will directly enter into there. If you are not having fat molecule, you are supposed to wait outside. Somebody should come and take you, some known person should come to you, then only you will be allowed inside. So similarly in body, when it comes body, lipid layer is more, this lipid junction, they are tight junctions. They will not allow other substances to go easily. So lipid soluble substances can diffuse through it. So already fat soluble they can easily diffuse. Whereas water soluble substances, they cannot go through the lipids, so they need some help, or they will see somebody is not allowing you. What will you do? You will see a minor small narrow and you will try to run from that place. So similarly our molecule also behave in a similar way. And one more point we are mentioning here is drug which is lipophilic. Lipo means fat, philic means love. When it is having love with fat, it easily clogs the membrane. Because membrane it is made of fat, fats loving is easily transported. Drugs which are lipophobic, that means which are hating. Phobia means fear. When the fat and fat fearing are hydrophilic, those who are water loving or fat fearing are there, they cannot be easily crossing the membrane. So this is the major source of variation of drug diffusion in absorption. So drug diffusion or absorption mainly depends whether it is lipophilic or lipophobic. Lipophilic will be easily absorbed through the membrane. And on the other hand, if this is the cell wall, you can see a small molecule entering into small pores, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water, ethanol, like this, they will be easily permeable, they will do it. And hydrophobic or lipophilic, fat dissolving, they can easily transport. Just I told you the atoms or charged atoms are which are soluble in water, they will repel and they will not be easily allowed. So small molecules and fat dissolving molecules can easily enter into the membrane. That's why coronavirus is also having a fat membrane. So it can easily break and it will get inside. If the upper membrane is not available, it will not get into the body. That's why it is having a body made up of a fat. So, and even if you take the drug, if the acidic drug is better absorbed in acidic media, basic drugs are absorbed in basic media. In body, in stomach you will have acidity. If you go to intestine, automatically in the tracts you will have basicity. So acidic drugs are easily absorbed in acidic media. So if you take an aspirin drug, what will happen? It is aspirin, it is a salicylic acid. Acid is there. So this acid is easily absorbed in the stomach because it is having acidic media. But if it is a base media, basic drug like if you take diazepam, it will not be absorbed in the stomach, it will go into intestine because intestine it is having a alkaline media. That's why even if you take the capsule, what will happen? The capsule will be made whether it should be dissolved in acid or base. If it is acid dissolving, it will dissolve in stomach. If it is a base dissolving, it will go to the intestine. There it will dissolve and drug will be dispersed there. Mechanism of drug absorption. So there are different ways of absorption, but in our syllabus we are having positive diffusion and active transportation. These are included along with endocytosis. I think these 2-3 are there. We will going to discuss about this. And when the drug is entering, it is a lipid bilayer. When the cell you see, it is a lipid, it is made of lipid, it is having 2 layers. From these 2 layers, when the molecule is very tiny, whether it is having ionic nature or covalent nature, it is whether it is lipophobic or lipophilic, it can transport directly from when the size is very small, which is called as simple diffusion. Whereas when it is a protein, it is having a particular, it will pass through the channel only. If it is ionic compound, this will not allow. Only protein can transfer from here to here. And here there is a carrier which will mediate and it will take. Something like if you cannot go to principal directly, a teacher will come and take you to the principal. Like this, the carrier will there. And if the energy is more, then it is called as active transport. Both are carrier supported, but the only difference is here you don't need energy, and if your energy is there, then it will have a active transportation. The reverse thing is in passive transportation, from higher concentration it will go to lower concentration, whereas active transportation it will go to lower to higher it can travel. So drug absorption we are going to see 2 parts only now. passive diffusion and active diffusion. I am giving one more example here which you can understand easily. If you could understand this logic, then it will be easy for us. Passive diffusion means I am taking an object which is putting on the higher side. Automatically this will slow. When the slope is more, automatically this will slip to lower side. This is generally called as passive diffusion. That means down the gradient, no carrier involved, no energy is used. Just you put on the upper surface, automatically it will roll down to down part. That is passive. Active transportation means this is an uphill task. This is going upwards. When it is going upwards, this is upward gradient and you need a carrier. If you are having a carrier like wheels, automatically it will go easily. And if you use energy, this will go active. So this is passive, this is active. What is the difference? Passive, it is a down gradient, there is no carrier and there is no energy. Whereas in active, it is an uphill task, you need a carrier and you also need active. And when it comes to facilitated diffusion means there are some wheels are there. In this case, there are no wheels, directly it is coming. Whereas we are giving some facility. What is that? It is also a down gradient, a carrier mediated. You are giving a carrier here which will allow this vehicle to pass smoothly downwards. Here you don't have any facility. Here you are having facility. So you have to try to understand this logic. So passive diffusion, facilitated diffusion and active diffusion. Here you need energy because it is uphill. I am giving one more simple example. This is active. Water is flowing downwards automatically. This person can easily flow. But if the person who is coming upwards, it is not that easy because he needs lot of energy. When you use this automatic lot of energy, then only active survival. And this is a passive transportation, and the uphill task, it is a active transportation. You try to remember this logic also. Now let us come into cell. So here you can see the cell. To bilayer you can see 2 layers of lipids are there, and here the concentration is more. Just now I told you, whenever there is a small pore, this drug can transfer from one side to another side. This is just simple diffusion and simple transportation. When it comes to passive transportation, here this is facilitated diffusion. A molecule with a particular structure can have a passage when it is having a protein support or something like that. They can have a passage, or they can be engulfed, or they can have a support from outside like proteins and protein-like structure. These also will be allowed into the cell. The difference is here they are directly getting transported, but here you need a carrier, and when the structure is particular, which will be allowed. I will give a simple example. If you are having a police uniform, you can go anywhere. So similarly, if the structure is same, this molecule, this passage will be allowed to go outside. But if you don't have a uniform, if you go with the police, automatically you can go anywhere. So here you are having this facilitated transportation. So in all these things, you don't need any energy. They are going from higher concentration to lower concentration. There is no energy. Just this is a simple, and this is a molecular structure will support. Where here you will get a external support, which is called as facilitated. So here we are supposed to know certain points which you can remember. Passive diffusion, this is non-ionic diffusion. There is no charge separation. This is facilitated by concentration gradient across the membrane. The concentration is playing important role in this. It will from higher concentration, it will travel to lower concentration. The drug moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. It does not require extra carrier or extra energy. There is no carrier and there is no extra energy. Simply by pushing, it is going outside. Water soluble agents use it aquaporous. When it is a water soluble compound, they will use aquaporous, where the water can flow. That porous can be used for transportation as in the membrane. And this is when molecular weight is very low, then only this is applicable. Whereas for lipid or fat soluble diffusion, directly through the membrane. The membrane, it is because fat they are friends. Chor and police, they are friends, so they will allow you to go. So if you go and stand, they will not allow. If it is a thief, the police knows the thief. So similarly, what happens here, the protein automatically, it will identify the protein and it will allow to go. So absorption of 90% of the drugs, they are absorbed using either from aqueous layer, they will move from the aqueous pores, and if it is a fat, directly it will be diffused. then there are 1-2 points which we should remember. This is the energy independent. There is no energies in this. Greater the area, lesser the thickness of the membrane, fast diffusion will take place. The pores rapid over for a short distance, and concentration equal both sides, then it will have a equilibrium. If the concentration on the either side if it is equal, it will have a equilibrium. Greater the permeability coefficient, drug will faster absorb. So they will see that the drug will penetrate into other size easily. This is about passive. And when it comes to active means somewhat there are slight changes. In this process, specific carrier or ATP are required. A energy is required like petrol, or you need a policeman. A specific carrier is required. With the policeman or using the petrol or vehicle, you can get into the system. The specific carrier protein carry the drug that closely resembles the structure of naturally occurring metabolic species from other carrier. If it is allowing glucose, if glucose-like structure is there, it will allow. That's why the ISRO people, they have prepared 2-deoxy glucose. Why they have taken 2-glucose? Because it is similar to glucose. But what it will say, the virus will think it is a energy giving source. So automatically the structure is similar to the glucose, it will allow inside. When it allows, automatically it will not function as food and the virus will die. So similarly, a specific carrier protein will be there. If the resemblance is there with the structure, then only it will allow. Just now I said, even if you are not a police, if you are having a police dress, it thinks you are a police and it will allow you. Like that, the naturally occurring metabolic species will carry. And capable of transporting from low to high concentration. In this, we are using energy. When you are using energy, they can travel in this. In the previous cases, it was from higher concentration to lower concentration. When it comes to active transportation, it is from lower to higher. From lower concentration to higher concentration, they can follow, which is called as active. Active, you remember 2-3 points. They are having specific carrier. They want specific carrier or ATP as energy source, because the resemblance of structure and energy will be pushing from one side to another side, and they can transfer from low to high. Generally, in passive, it is high to low. In active, it is low to high. So here is the system. You can see the concentration here and the specific active transportation. If the energy is there, automatically this will be opening and it will be transported from one place to another place. So active transportation, it is an uphill transportation, faster than passive. Passive is very slow because it is supposed to find the path and it will pass through it. Whereas in this you are rising energy. When you are drinking boost, automatically the energy will be more and you can run faster. So it is an energy gradient and energy is required. Active transportation needs lot of energy and inhibited by metabolic poisons. If any metabolic, it is similar to metabolic compound, it is easy. If any metabolic poison is there, they will be inhibited. Like fluorides and cyanides, if are available, automatically they will be inhibited. And endogenous material is absorbed. This internal material automatically absorbs and it will take inside. And we have studied about this absorption part. So when you take the drug will be automatically, it may go to intestine or it may come in from the veins, and if it is an injection, it will come into the blood flow, and if it is a tablet, it will go into the stomach. So there the absorption will take place, and there are 2 types of absorptions we have seen, and if it is the gut, and if portal absorption will be there, or here you can see portal circulation. If it is going to GIT, gastrointestinal tract, it will go into a portal circulation. That means it will come to liver and it will come into bloodstream. Whereas if it is a ordinary, if it is from liver or if you take from the blood, automatically it will come into systemic circulation, and overall the drug absorption is the first part, and second, after coming into the blood, this drug will be distributed. How the drug it is playing when it is in the blood flow, now we are going to see in the distribution part. Here there are certain important points. It is the passage of the drug from the circulation to the tissue and site of its action. Drug will come into circulation and it will go to tissue, and wherever it needs, that blood will take the drug into the particular site. And the extent of distribution of drug depends on its lipid solubility. We have clearly discussed that if it is a lipid or it is a fat dissolving, it is very good drug, it can transmit anywhere in the body. But if it is a hydrophilic or it is a water soluble or it is having attraction with water, they can flow in the blood but they will not go into the organs or tissues as easily. So remember that whenever the drug it is made, it is of the lipid soluble. If the drug is soluble in lipids or in the fat, they are the best drugs and they can be distributed easily. And ionization of physiological fluid. When ionization is there, automatically you can see positive and negative charges. When positive and negative charges are there, it will go into water. When it goes into the water, its absorption will be very, very less. So it depends upon the pKa value, or pH also will play the important role. If the pH at a particular pH they are in ionic state, they will not be allowed to come into the tissues. And if the pH is maintained, automatically the ionization will go and it will come into the extent. And the extent of binding to the plasma. Here what happens is this drug, whatever it is coming, there will be some proteins, and these proteins, they will be attached in the plasma, and also in the tissue you will find some proteins. So our drug will come and attaches with this protein, and this protein will help you to travel in the plasma or in the tissue. When the protein is available, it is called as carrier. When carrier is available, if you don't know the route, what will you do? You will take the support of some helper. That man who already knows the route will help you. Similarly, this protein will hold and it will take the drug to the plasma or tissue. And differences in the releases blood flow. The problem in the body is the blood flow is not equal in all the parts. If you see the brain or liver, the blood flow is high. If you see our bones or tissues, that blood flow will be less. So depending upon the blood flow, because if the blood is having drug, if the blood can flow, the drug also flows with the blood. That's why in certain regions the blood flow is more, the drug can easily go. When the flow is less, it cannot go. That is the logic. And diseases like CHF, cognitive heart failure, those who are having heart attack or cardiac arrest, they are generally called as CHF patients. So cognitive heart failures or uremia is a cause of the rise in urea. If the kidneys cannot filter the uric acid, then that urea will come into blood. So the rise in urea is called as uremia. Or cirrhosis. Those who take alcohol a lot, what will happen? Their liver will be damaged. When the liver is damaged, it is called as cirrhosis. If such problem is available, if heart is not functioning properly, because the heart is the pumping and urine it is the filtering, and cirrhosis liver, this is the policeman which will control or convert the drug into active drug. If these organs they does not function properly, automatically drug consumption will not be up to expected momentum. And momentum of the drug until the equilibrium between the unbound drug and plasma and tissue fluids. Here there is a equilibrium. What is equilibrium? There is a free drug. The drug which is not bound to the plasma is considered as free drug. Once it is attached to the protein, it can travel into the plasma, it can also travel into the tissue. So there is an equilibrium between the free drug and the plasma and protein fluids. This equilibrium will decide whether the drug will flow. If the equilibrium is attained, it will not flow. If equilibrium is not attained, drug can be attached with the protein and automatically the protein will take the drug to different parts. And here we are having some more points. The distribution of drug from bloodstream to the effective site. What is happening in distribution? The most important points which you are supposed to remember. After absorption of the drug will be traveling in the blood and it will go to the effector site. That may be a plasma or it may be a tissue. When the drug is administered either by intravascular, when you can give an injection, or it is absorption by any form of the various extracellular sites. You can take as a tablet or a nozzle or a spray, something like that. Injection will go into nerve, whereas if you take a tablet or something like that, it will come into extracellular site. So the drug is subjected to different distribution process. Here the most important point which we are supposed to understand is distribution. Why there is need of distribution? To lower the plasma concentration. This is the important point. When you take the drug, what will happen? The drug will come into the plasma. When it comes to the plasma, it will have a heaviness. So this plasma try to give out some of the medicine to different parts. If you are having lot of weight, what will you do? You want to reduce the weight, so you will distribute the weights to some friends. If it is a good healthy man, you will give more weight. If he is a small boy, you will give a small thing. Like that, whenever we are traveling, we will have different bags in railway station. So this plasma will also, what will it do? It will try to reduce the concentration of the drug in the blood. For that, you require this distribution. I will give some real life general examples. Try to compare the general examples to the body system. Drug distribution is reversible transfer of the drug between the compartments to another. Body will play comfortably and perfectly. It is a reversible process. If it wants, it can bind with protein. If you don't want to bind with the protein, it will come out. Like that, it will do manmani. As it feels, it will do. And body can having every mechanism. It can go forward reaction, it can go backward reaction depending upon the situation. That's why if the free drug is more, the forward reaction takes place and plasma and drug will bind and it will have more circulation. If the protein is not there, the blood will remain as free drug. If the protein is in equilibrium, they will stay in compartment. If the drug is excess, it will be thrown away the kidneys. So our body will do distribution from blood to tissues, and it is a reversible process and it will throw from the kidneys. Here the how the distribution is taking place, we can have a glance. Here what I told you, when you take the drug, the absorption is more. When absorption is more means you are having more drug in the body. When the drug is more means the availability is more. When availability is more, what we are supposed to do? We should distribute it. It is something like when you are having more things, what will you do? You will distribute to others. When you go to temple, if you take more prasadam, automatically you will give to some others. If you are having more food after eating, you will give back to somebody else. Like this, drug also, what after absorption, the availability is when very high, automatically it will start distributing, and it will distribute through blood only. So when it is a traveling through blood, the concentration of the drug in blood is more. So it is the basic rule is it wants to reduce the concentration of the drug in the blood. So what will it do? It will travel to all the organs. Where it will go? It can go to our brain, heart, lungs, kidneys, bone, everywhere. All these parts, they are called as extracellular fluids, and it will go to these extracellular fluids, and it will give the blood drug to the parts, and it will the concentration of the plasma will be reduced. So distribution of the drug into the different parts is considered as distribution. So distribution of the drug in the blood in different organ parts, it is considered as distribution. And the distribution is not equal. Just now I told you, because all parts are not getting equal. In the society also you can see the same problem, because everybody is not rich, everybody is not poor. Somebody is getting, somebody is not getting. So the same rule will apply in the body also. So when it comes to blood flow, so the effect is that the blood distribution is very important, because if the blood distribution is more, automatically drug will flow more. Flow is not equal in all the parts of the body. So body, it is not getting equal distribution in the in every part. So more blood flow, more drug distribution. If the blood is flowing more to a particular part, means drug also going along with the blood at a higher level. And you can see greater drug flow will be to the brain, liver, kidney, all these special organs, they are having a greater circulation. Whereas if you see the lower part, it is considered as acceleration of muscles and adipose tissue. Generally fat and muscles, the flow is very less. So that's why what will happen, when you take a drug, this drug, it will generally the flow is more to the brain, liver, kidney. So immediately they will not go into the tissue part, they will go to the brain, or they will go to the liver, or they will go to the kidney. If they go to the liver, from there will be the drug will be activated or deactivated, and it will be, if it is activated, it will send to the organs. If it is deactivated, it will send to the kidney. The kidney will throw it out. Otherwise, this drug is active, then the body will use the drug. And the brain, it is very special, because if you come to the college, the principal will have a special provision. He will have a separate room, separate power, separate everything. Like that, total body is different, our brain is different. Brain will not allow everything to come in. Why it is not allowing, I will tell you in the next slides. So here what we are supposed to remember is more drug flow, more distribution. And certain parts like brain, liver, kidney, they are having more flow. So drug mostly it will follow to these parts at a higher distribution rate. Whereas if you come to muscles and adipose tissue, fat tissues, they will have low blood circulation. So automatically the drug will go less to that parts. And here you can see a pipe. Can you observe this? If a pipe is having small slits, the water will come out. When somebody is watering in the garden, what will happen? If pipe is having small slits, the water will be throwing outside like a fountain. So this is called as capillary permeability. And if you see the blood part, these cavities, they are having a small pores. These pores, it is something like a balloon. So balloon will also, if you push, automatically the from small pores, the water will come out. I will give a simple example of pot. If you take a new pot and pour water, that pot it is having small pores. So when the pore it is coming out, what will happen? The system it will take the energy. Why the water will be cooled in the pot? The pot is having water which is having higher temperature. A water molecule which is traveling through the small pore will take the energy from the system and the system will be cooled. That's why if you put the water in the pot, it will be cooled. That means this capillary action is taking place. That means in a pipe, the liquid is having a tendency to come out in the capillary form. So this is called as capillary permeability. Capillary is something like a tube. Permeability means traveling. So this pipe is allowing to come out. So this is the best example. If pipe it is allowing, then only water will come out. If it is intact, the water will not come out. Similarly, the capillary permeability will be in two types. This part is very important. Capillary structure and chemical nature. Capillary structure plays very important role, because in sites what will happen, you will have endothelial cells which will have a capillary in the tissue other than brain. Here you can see this. If you take the liver, it is having a capillary which is having a small slit. This is called a slit junction. Something like a pipe, it is when it is broken. In this case we are seeing the liquid or fluid is coming out. Similarly, when you come to liver portion, it is having a small slit, so it can come out, which is called as slit junction. So what the statement says, endothelial cells of the capillaries in the tissues other than brain have a wide slit junctions, allowing easy movement of the drug. So when the drug is flowing in this, when the capillary is there, the drug can flow from the capillaries. But brain capillaries have no slit between endothelial cells. Tight junctions are blood-brain barrier. This is important point. When you come to brain, I told you just now, brain will not allow everything. Flow is there in the body and brain. When it comes to brain, it is having a tight junction. That means there are no slits in this. When there is no slit, the drug will not come out. It will be in the pipe only. So that is called as blood-brain barrier, or it is a tight junction. It is a loose junction and tight junction. Loose junction means anybody can go. Okay, tight junction means there is some security, they cannot go. So only carriers mediated transport, highly lipid profile drugs will enter into central nervous system. If it wants to come into brain, it should have a high lipophilic. That means only highly fat soluble compounds only can come into the brain. That's why the brain related drugs, all they are highly lipophilic. That means they are soluble in fat. When they are soluble in fat, they can directly travel into this. If it is in the bloodstream polar state or positive negative charges or with water, it cannot go because it is a tight junction. So here we are supposed to remember two things better. Capillary permeability, it depends upon the capillary structure. Capillary structure, you remember, one is split junction or loose junction, another one is tight junction. Loose junction will allow to go out, tight junction will not allow. So generally all the endothelial cells, they will have a loose junction only. Only brain will have this tight junction, which is called as blood-brain barrier. If it can cross the drug, if it can cross the blood-brain barrier, then only it will come into the outside, or it can go into lower under. Only in the central nervous system that will happen. So ionized and hydrophilic drugs cannot get into the brain. That's why a water soluble drug, or which is having a positive negative charges, they cannot directly go into the brain, but they can travel into liver, kidneys, wherever they want, they can go. And second parameter which comes is chemical nature. Chemical nature, just now we have discussed. If it is a hydrophilic means if it is having a attraction with water, it means it is having a polar nature, it can flow in the blood easily. If it is having a lipid profile, or which is hydrophobic, which is having a phobia with water, That means it cannot dissolve in water. That they will be flowing very less speed, but they can cross this barrier easily. So whenever fat is there, it can travel directly. It is having a pass. Whereas if it is a having positive negative charges or it is soluble in water, they can flow in the bloodstream, but they cannot cross these junctures. When the slit juncture is available, then only they can go. Otherwise, yeah, it will not go. So especially brain will not allow such all things. This is capillary permeability. We can see the structure. Medical books generally they will give some critical structure. This is capillary. In general, it is having a slit junction. You can see a small slit. So this blood can flow. This can be allowed through. This is a leakage. Whereas if you come to brain, you can see a tight junction. It will not allow. Only proteins, if they are having, they can flow into the blood. But those who are having positive negative charges or polar nature, they cannot go into the stream. This is the logic which you are supposed to remember. When you are having a slit, then easily it can go, and slits are available, these capillaries are available, all organs except in the brain. So BBB, that is blood-brain barrier. If this crosses, then only from blood it will get into the brain. That is the logic you try to remember. Then there is one more concept which is called as plasma protein binding. Binding means attaching. To whom they are attaching? Plasma protein. Plasma means blood will have plasma. This will have some proteins. These proteins will be binding with the drug. So in bloodstream you will have proteins. These proteins will be binding with the drug. If the plasma protein binding is available, what will happen? This free drug, it can attach to the protein and it can travel into the blood, which is called as bound to the drug. So when it is attaches to this drug attaches to the protein, if the size is bigger, the drug action will be less due to distribution. If the size become bigger means it cannot flow easily in the blood, but when it cannot flow easily, the drug action will be very less. And when the drug action is less, automatically blood what will do? It can have a reversibility. That the blood will leave the drug, then again you will have a free drug and protein will go into the blood, which is called as reversibility. Drug action increases. If the reversibility is there, the free drug is available and it can have an action. And this free drug, it can also bind with the tissue. Because the tissue proteins are different. So when it is bound to the tissue, this free drug and bound drug. And when it is having a protein, it can go into the cell. So it will go into the tissue level. If it is in the blood, it will flow in the blood. If it is going to the tissue, if they are having bounding, these are the protein carriers. They will hold the drug and they will take it to the tissue. And while going into the tissues, it will go to a therapeutic target. If you are having a problem in kidneys, the drug it will go to the kidneys. There the drug will start acting. If it is not there, again the reversibility will take place and you will have a free drug. This free drug it will be thrown out. If it is having told you the concentration, if it wants to throw, it will give some polarity. Body what will do? The drug will be made into plus minus. It will send into kidney. The kidney will throw it out. So drug will come out. If it needs, it will bind with some protein. If it needs in the blood, it will come invite into blood. If it wants, it will send it to the tissue and it will go to the therapeutic side. The drug action will be done. So here what we are supposed to remember in this is plasma protein binding. So plasma will have proteins. This protein will have a binding capacity with the drugs. Drug can have a reversible. It can bind with the protein and travel, and it can have a free drug. So a reversibility takes place. When it is in the blood, it will travel, and when the molecule is very big, it cannot travel easily. So distribution is very less. And what will it will do if the traveling is not there? Body will not keep itself. It will not hold. It will try to use, or it will try to throw it. When it is having love with fat, that means fat dissolving. When it is fat dissolving, it can go anywhere. When it is water dissolving, it will not go. When it is water soluble, it needs a carrier. It should have some protein which should hold it, and this carrier protein will hold and it will take. When you take the drug, if it is having lipid, I told you high, these organs there, the blood flow is very high in liver, brain and kidneys. And whatever automatically the first drug it will travel to these high vascular organs. When it goes to high vascular organs, the drug will be available abundantly in brain, liver and kidney. From here what happens? These things, these parts they will profuse. That means they will give out, they will throw out. When they throw out the drug, automatically the rebinding will take place and they will be redistributed. From brain, liver, kidney, they will go into muscle tissue and fat tissue. There they will act. So initially when you take the drug, if it is having a lipid, automatically blood will react. It will have a binding. It will go to brain, liver or kidney. From there they will have redistribution. From there they will go to less blood flow parts like muscle tissue or fat tissue. This is what distribution. So some of the factors affecting the drug distribution are regional blood flow. The rate of blood flow is not similar. Some of the body organs they are getting more blood, some are less. So where there is a blood flow is more, the effect will be more. Capillary permeability. Brain will not allow all the things, but body they will have leakage or loops which are loose junctions will be there. So the capillary action permeability more. When it comes to brain, it is having a tight junction. And molecule size. If the molecule size is very slow, they can flow more. And lipophilicity, those are fat soluble, they will automatically they can have more flow. Polar or those are having positive negative, they cannot have flow. And binding serine protein and ppb is important. The complex formation, it will decide the flow also. And volume of distribution, the total amount given in the body and the concentration available in the plasma is considered as VB, VD. This VD is also important. Depending that only decides whether the drug is in the action site or not. When the bonding between drug and plasma protein is less, the drug can be easily travel diffused. The bonding, this is important point. Plasma protein and drug should not have a strong bond. It should have a weak bond. Then only they can be easily given out. In ADME, we have seen the absorption. Second one was the distribution, and now we are coming for the metabolism part. Metabolism is nothing but it is just catabolism and anabolism. That means breaking of the molecule and making of the molecule. Two things will be happening here, and mostly enzymes will be the catalyst. In these enzymes, what will happen? The blood is coming and it is coming to the stomach or it is coming into the veins and it is circulating in the blood. And it will go to the active site and it will work. Now that body's job is that drug should be eliminated. That drug should be thrown out. For that, this policeman, it will work. It will pull the molecule. If it is a polar, directly it can go through the urine. If it is not polar, this liver will convert the drug into polar and it will be sent through the urine. Or if it is a fatty part is there, then it will come into the stool or it will come into the excreta. So solids will go into stomach and water will come into the urinary tract. So like that the drug will be. So depending on the need, what can it do? Active drug can be made more active, non-active drug can be made active, or active drug can be made into non-active. These jobs will be comes under metabolism. And the major job is this liver, it will see that the drug will be converted into polar. That means if it is having positive and negative charges, automatically that will come into water. When it comes into water, it can be thrown easily through kidneys to outside. So that is the job in metabolism. Let us see what is metabolism. This is the basic structure what I told. Metabolism, initial drug consumed will be converted into new compounds and this process is called as metabolism. The compounds are converted into new compounds. These new compounds are different. They can be used by the body depending upon the need. It will convert into new compounds. Compounds begin to break down as soon as they enter the body. When the drug comes into the body, the catabolism and metabolism both will take place. The breakdown may be either it can be deactivated or the drug may be activated to make a new molecule. I will tell you in the next slides. Drug metabolism is carried out by the liver. Liver, I told you, police, you try to remember. He will control the total body system. That's why your liver should be very active. So liver, by redox enzymes, body it will have all biochemical reactions. So enzyme will be there and you will have a redox reaction. Reduction will be there, oxidation will be there, and the enzyme catalyzed reactions will go on in the body, especially in the liver part. The majority of the small molecule metabolites drug broken into from new compounds are pharmacologically inert. Here the inertness stands for the pharmacological levels will be made inert and it will be thrown outside. Because if it is a drug active, it may destroy other parts. On the process of metabolism, new molecules are formed, get deactivated to reduce the dosage, making less or no effect on the body. If the drug is more in the body, automatically wherever it goes, it may try to damage other parts also. So our body's job is to reduce the dosage or make it less active, or it should throw out from the body. So these jobs will be done. Liver also plays a critical role to reduce the dose or to making less effective, or so making it polar and throwing it out. Most metabolites are converted into hydrophilic, a water soluble or water loving or polar molecules. When it is hydrophilic, automatically the drug will come into water. When you drink water, automatically they will come into it. That's why when you take tablets, what will happen? When you pass urine, this urine will have a smell, or it will be have a different color, because the concentration of the drug automatically, all will be, this drug will come from the urine, so they will be converted into hydrophilic and they will be thrown out for easy excretion. If it is not comes from through urine, it will go into the solid waste, that is stool or excreta. So generally this occurs in phase 1 and phase 2. In phase 1 only, these drugs will be converted into water soluble drugs and thrown out. If it is not converted into water soluble drug, they will go to phase 2. There again body will convert into water soluble drug and they will be thrown out. There are two phases: phase 1 reaction, phase 2 reaction. Phase 1, it is called as non-synthetic or non-conjugative. Non-conjugative means there will not be any attachments. Non-synthesis means that no synthesis is there and additional groups will not be there. Whereas when you come to phase 2 reactions, it is synthetic, that means new products are generated, and conjugative means something else is added from outside. So this attachment generally it is considered as phase 2. So try to remember like this. Here in phase 1 only simple modifications will be done, and when you come to phase 2 something else will be attached. So that is called as conjugated phase or synthetic phase. This is phase 1 reactions. Phase 1 reactions, they are called as non-synthetic or non-conjugated. Non-conjugated means no additional minute thing may be attached or simple modification may be there. Mostly these includes enzymatic redox reactions. Reduction and oxidation such like reactions takes place, and that too in presence of enzymes. So they are non-synthetic, or they are also called as non-conjugated phase. In this, generally what reactions cover? Converts the drug into more polar. The basic job of first phase is to convert the drug into more polar. Why it wants to conduct more polar? Because drug already when it is coming into the body, it may be a polar or non-polar, but body will take, it will have some carriers, it will be attached to protein, because protein soluble compounds, the drugs easily they can travel in the body, whether it is blood or tissue. So what actually the molecules whatever they are present, they are with fat or they are non-polar. So in first phase body what it does, it want to throw out the medicine, throw out the drug outside. So first phase it will try to convert into more polar. So to convert this drug into more polar, the general reactions oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, cyclization, decyclization, such reactions occur. First one is oxidation, addition of oxygen, or instead of electron, generally the electron carrying molecule which is having a negative charge radical, they will come and add to the compound which will give the charge to the molecule. And types of oxidation, I told you in previous slide here. When it comes to enzymes, there are two types of enzymes: microsomal enzymes, which are microsomes in layer they are available, whereas non-microsomal enzymes, they are in cytoplasm and mitochondria, they are available. So these two will come into picture. Here when the oxidation takes place, microsomal oxidation, the liver it is having microsome. In microsome you will have microsomal enzymes. These enzymes will help in doing oxidation, right, like hydroxylation, dealkylation or desoxidation, that is sulfur oxidation will take place. Overall oxidation is addition of oxygen or addition of a negative addendum. When a negative part is added, automatically the electrons will come. So addition of electron is considered as oxidation. So hydroxylation, dealkylation, yes, oxidation or sulfur oxidation, you try to remember this. And in non-microsomal section, there also the oxidation part takes place. The difference is in liver, the mitochondria, it will have 9 microsomal enzymes. In presence of that, the catalytic enzymes will come into picture. These catalytic enzymes, they will assist this oxidation part. So mono amino oxidase or xanthine oxidase or alcohol dehydrogenase set AD, this is called as AD. Such all compounds, the catalytic enzymes, they will come into picture. They will do oxidation in non-microsomal oxidation part. If ethyl alcohol is there, this will be converted into carbon dioxide and water. The basic logic is drug is transformed in presence of enzyme. So when enzymes are available, in the enzyme catalytic situations, these drugs are transformed into more polar to be thrown from the water soluble, then it will be thrown from the urine or excreted easily. Then reduction part. Reduction is nothing but removal of oxygen or addition of hydrogen or positive charge. Addition of addendum will be positive charge. This is generally considered as reduction. Generally, nitro compounds and keto groups, they undergo reduction in the body. If you take cortisone, that will be converted into hydroxycortisone and it will be removed. So in this, what we are supposed to remember is introduction of a functional group. Here in this part, what is happening? We are trying to convert one form into another form by introducing a functional group. If a hydroxyl group comes into the hydroxyl group, it will have a positive and negative charges. So it can come into water. So the basic logic of the phase 1 is it should be converted into polar. Or the exposure of the new functional group. Already the ketone is there, then it will be reducted. When it is reducted, it will become hydroxyl. So when it becomes hydroxyl, a new functional group will come. So ketone will be converted into hydroxy group or alcohol. When it comes to alcohol, it will be come into water and it can be easily removed. So you try to remember the important points. When you are writing about phase 1, we should write this point, and in support you can write the equation. And hydrolysis. This is hydrolysis, nothing but splitting of the drug molecule by adding water. Water molecules will come into picture. Generally H and OH, when they come into picture, they will break the molecule. When the drug molecule, it is broken into two parts. One will be added with hydrogen, another will be with hydroxyl ion, and automatically the drug's nature will be denatured. The drug's its basic nature will go and you will have a different compounds. So you can take acetylcholine, which will be converted into acetic acid and choline in hydrolysis. Here the basic logic is a small polar groups, functional groups like OH, NH2, SH. If this group is, if you take acetic acid, if it is having a COOH group, when COOH group is there, it will have COO minus and H plus. When it is having a polar nature, it can come into water. Like this, a small functional groups are established where it can be converted into water, or they are added or unmasked. In some cases, they may add a new group, or in cases already existing, they can be unmasked. If phase 1 is not comfortable for making the drug into water soluble, then only it will go to phase 2 reaction. There automatically it will convert into water soluble or boil soluble, then it will throw from the bottom. So these are the important points which we are supposed to remember in phase 1 reaction. Phase 1 reaction, generally we are calling it as non-synthetic or non-conjugative phase. There is no synthesis there, no new product is coming, and there is no addendum or additional product is not added, but we are converting one functional group into another functional group by redox enzymes. Redox reactions will take place. So drug transformation by the process of oxidation, reduction, hydrolysis, like these simple reactions will go, and in presence of enzymes, this is important. These enzymes, they will do some oxidation, reduction and hydrolysis. They will convert this drug into polar. The change of drug molecular generally result in the introduction of functional group into molecule or exposure of a new functional group of the molecule. They may introduce a new functional group by oxidation reduction, or there is an exposure of a new functional group. If it is not there, it may also create a new functional group in the drug and they will be converted into polar. And small polar functional groups like OH, NH2, SH, COOH, etc. are either added or unmasked. So during oxidation and reduction, they can be added from outside, or if they are already existing, they will be converted into one form to another form, which is called as unmasked. And the lipid soluble drugs, and only lipid soluble drugs needs this mechanism. This treatment is only for lipid soluble. If it is already ionic, it will not go to phase 1 reaction. because automatically it will come into water, it will go from the urine. If it is not going in the urine like water, it is not dissolving water, then only phase 1 reaction will come. Here we are creating or unmasking the functional groups. And phase 1 reactions result in activation of the drug, change in the drug, inactivation. In phase 1, the drug can be activated. If it is not activated, it can be changed in one form to other form, or if the drug is very active, it can be inactivated by oxidation, reduction, which is called as drug reaction in presence of drug. This is the basic logic of phase 1 we are supposed to remember. Phase 2 reactions will come. In phase 2 metabolism, the molecule endogenous to the body donates a portion of itself to the foreign molecule. Let us imagine this is the drug which is I am calling it as D. Our body is also having enzymes and all chemicals which is called as endogenous material. Let us imagine this body, it is having some X factor. What happens in the body? Body will donate this X to the drug. So the drug and X, they will both attach and you are getting a new compound which is called as DX. This DX, it is water soluble. So then it can be easily thrown. So that's why this phase it is called as conjugated. Why conjugated? Attachment is taking place. In phase 2, a new molecule is attached from the body and a new synthesis is taking place. That's why we will call phase 2 a synthetic or conjugated phase, and the endogenous material will be removed. So when you come to phase 2 reactions, these are synthetic reactions or conjugated. Synthetic means synthesis is taking place, conjugation means addition is taking place. Involves conjugation or attachment. You try to remember this word important. Phase 2 attachment. Phase 1 redox reactions. You try to remember 2 words, you can write the answer. Because in annual examination you can expect phase 1, phase 2 reactions. Metabolism of phase 1 with carbohydrates or amino acids to make it polar. So when in phase 1 it is not dissolving in water, what will our body do? Our body will attach a molecule like a carbohydrate, because abundant carbohydrates, amino acids are present in body. So these carbohydrates or amino acids, they will be attached to the body. When it attaches to the body, it is something like passport. When it is attached, automatically they will come into water, because carbohydrates and amino acids, they are having jitter ion is there. So automatically they are having positive negative charges. Carbohydrates, they can easily dissolve in water. So when these molecules are attached, the drug will come into water and they will become more polar. When it become more polar, automatically they will come into water and it will be excreted through elimination part of the kidney or in the form of urine. So they require high energy. Phase 1, they doesn't need any lot of energy, because oxidation reduction will take in the system only. But when you come to phase 2 reaction, the important difference between phase 1 and phase 2 requires a lot of energy and they are faster than phase 1. Phase 1 reactions, they slowly occur, oxidation reduction process will be taking very slow. But when you come to phase 2 reaction, this attachment will be done immediately. They will give the letter and they will throw you from the urine. Something like that, the attachment will take, this is the fast reaction. So 3 important points which we can remember from this slide is, first point is attachment. So drug molecule is having a smaller group like this. This group will be attached with the conjugated agent, and this conjugated agent will have a positive and negative charges. So the drug, this group, as this group is attaching, it will be made soluble into water. Have you got the point? You remember this equation. This is the drug. Our body is supplying X. What is X? Please, glucuronic acid, sulfate or acetyl, whatever it may be, a small group we are attaching to the drug. When this drug and this group is attached, this group, and where it is attaching, generally a site is there, active site like smaller functional group like hydroxyl, carboxylic, NH, SH. This hydrogen can be easily replaced. So this endogenous materials X part will attach with the drug in this part. That means you are getting a drug attached with this conjugated agent. After that, automatically the drug will become a water soluble and then it can come into water. So this is phase 2 reaction. And what are the important points you are supposed to remember in phase 2? This is the last step of detoxification reaction and almost always result in loss of biological activity of the compound. And here the detoxification, drug when it is useful, it will be boon, but when it will become toxic, which body should throw it out. So in the second step, what will happen mostly? detoxification or the activity of the drug will be stopped or perished, and almost always result in loss of biological activity. The drug will not have its biological activity, then only the body will be safe. So in phase 2 mechanism, the drug's activity will be snuffed or crushed. This may be perceived by one or more phases in one reaction. We have discussed already. It may be happen in only phase 1 reaction, or it may happen in phase 2 also. Phase 1, phase 2, both combination the reactions may occur. Somehow body will convert into water soluble and it throw it out. This involves conjugation of functional group of the molecule with hydrophilic endogenous substances. This is important. In phase 2, what we are doing? We are conjugating. We are adding a substance from outside to the functional group, which is mostly hydrophilic endogenous substance. Hydrophilic means water soluble substance is added. That water soluble bodies of part will come and attach to the drug. Then only the drug will come into water. Formation of a conjugation. Formation of the conjugation will take place. Endogenous substances such as carbohydrate, if these two are attached to the drug can be easily eliminated. That's what you try to remember. And phase 2 will occur only after phase 1 reaction. And one more point which says, in this phase reaction, attachment of small polar endogenous molecules like glucuronic acid, sulfate, methyl, amino acids will be either uncharged drugs or phase 1 product. So phase 1, after completion of phase 1 only phase 2 will come. In phase 2, such a compounds will be attached to the drug. These products are also called as conjugates. These are all called as conjugates. And these were water soluble metabolites which are readily excreted by the body. When it comes to the body, in water, automatically it will comes out from the urine. So body will try this conjugated to attach to throw the drug from the urine. And last point, on the other hand, deconjugation of the drug by bacterial enzymes is called as hepatic cycle. And generally medical people, they will use this term. What is hepatic cycle? When a virus comes, it will do the reverse reaction. So this bacteria or bacterial enzymes, they will do the reverse reaction and deconjugation. That means the bonding will be break. Attachment will be detached. This detachment is called done by bacterial enzymes, which is called as hepatic cycle. So deconjugation may lead to increasing level of the drug in the body. So when the bacterial enzyme reverses it, automatically the plasma will have more drug, because the bond between the carbohydrate or amino acid will be broke by the bacterial enzyme. So the drug will again, it will come into plasma and the drug in the body will increase. This is called as hepatic cycle. You try to remember this. Excretion in ADME step, it is the last step. In syllabus we are having a renal excretion. Renal is nothing but it is a kidney part. Kidney, good blood will flow and unfiltered blood will come into the system. And here you will have nephrons. In this nephrons you are having pipings which will having 3-4 types of transactions. After that, whatever contamination, poison is there, when it is entering, the concentration and ingredients in the blood will be different. When they enter into the pipe and they get filtered and the transition takes place, automatically the blood will come out. When it comes out, the blood part which is it is a different, and most of the toxic elements and drugs, they are relieved of water soluble, mostly not part soluble. Chemicals, all generally water soluble chemicals, whatever they are not needed, generally they will be thrown out using this kidney, which is called as renal excretion. And this is nephron. Kidney, it will have a small part like this and it will have nephrons. In this nephrons only the total game will be done. So here the concept is renal excretion. Renal excretion plays an important role in elimination of unchanged drugs or their metabolites into urine. Here the drug may change or may not change. When you take the drug, it may undergo metabolism or it may not undergo metabolism. Whether it is undergone metabolism or not undergone metabolism, it is immaterial. Even if the drug is not unchanged, that will also thrown out. Or if the metabolism takes place, it will have its metabolites. Products will be there after metabolism, and unchanged drug and metabolism, both the drugs, they are useless for the body, because after metabolism the drug will be consumed. If the drug is not changed, it is waste in the body. So here the whatever waste in the body, it will be thrown in the liquid form from the urine from the renal excretion. These compounds are polarized. When there is having a positive and negative charge, then only they can come into water and they are water soluble. When they are water soluble, then only they will be thrown from the kidney. Drugs that lipid soluble are not readily removed by the kidneys and require hepatic mechanism. Here, when the fat soluble compounds are there, these fat soluble compounds generally they will not be filtered through kidney and they need a hepatic metabolism, means again they should go to liver. There, the deconjugation, the other links which are there may be a conjugation or deconjugation, but again it should get metabolized. If a hepatic metabolism is taking place, in phase 1 we have seen redox reaction will take place. In phase 2 we have seen a additional part will be added and that will be transformed to increase water solubility. If they are not water soluble, again they will go to liver, from there bile, from there they will come to small intestine, from small intestine in the form of excreta or feces it will be thrown out. Here lyophilic drugs cannot be transformed into hydrophilic, will be eliminated. If the drug is cannot be converted into water soluble, then only they will go to liver. There the liver, the bile will act there. This bile will filtrate these lipophilic compounds and they will send to the small intestine, and if the molecule is small, they will be converted into water soluble and sent to kidney. If it is big molecule, then it will come into the small intestine. That is happening in the elimination part. So when it comes to elimination or excretion, these two terms are generally used in different textbooks. Excretion or removal or symmetrically absorbed drug. The drug, when it is absorbed, when we take the drug should be eliminated either in the form of liquid or in the form of solid. So the rate of elimination generally it will be 120 milliliters per 1 minute beta. That means every second it can do 2 ml of filtration will be done with the kidney part, and mostly the major elimination part is kidney. Along with the kidney, other parts also they will have their role to play. Not only kidney but major 80 to 90% job is done by the kidney. If it is not kidney, if it is a fat soluble, it will go to liver. There, from there it will be bile will play an important role, and this bile will send into feces. That means it will be coming into small intestine, which is a solid form. These all big molecules they are shown to the small intestine. From small intestine they will be coming out in the solid form. And if the volatile compounds are there, which can be converted into gases, those compounds generally they will be going out through lungs in exhalation. The people, those who take alcohol, if you see, they will have a bad smell from the mouth. What is the reason? This alcohol will be exhausted through lungs, because when they exhale, some compounds will come out. And even police, when they do this drunken drive cases, and they will see the lung when it is showing this exhaling these compounds are mostly ethyl alcohol and formic acid. They will be identified with the analyzer, breath analyzer, and they can be penalized. And second is mostly some solid like heavy metals and other drugs. They will be thrown from the saliva. Mostly hydrophilic. That means a water soluble drugs, when they are there, they will come from the saliva. Even sweat. When certain drugs are there, they will be coming when you do some exercise or something, like you will get smell. And this body odor, body smell will depend upon the drugs. When you take new drugs, there is a possibility of getting a bad smell in the body or some other smell in the body. This odor is due to the drug which is coming out in the form of the sweat. Mostly hydrophilic, water soluble drugs only they will come from the sweat. And milk is the other, mother's milk. Lactating mother will also have these compounds, mostly hydrophilic, and hydrophobic also will be there, or lyophilic drugs will be there. The less water soluble or minutely they are having protein compounds or unbound or loosely bound compounds, generally they will come into the mother's milk. And mostly the drugs which are having a loose bonding or a limited portion of the fat or lipid, they will come into the milk. And sperms and sputum, they will also generally these fat soluble drugs they can come from the sperms and automatically from even from the sputum. When you cough, you will get sputum. These may have, because it is having a fat soluble nature. So lipophilic drugs can come from the. So the drug excretion we can see in a chart. So drug excretion can be a hydrophilic or hydrophobic. The volatile they come from the lungs. Milk they are fat soluble. Water soluble they will go from the kidney. If it is a water soluble they can come into saliva or from this here. This is the duodenum is there. A small intestine. The initially starting point of the small intestine it is called as duodenum. Here the liver what it will do with the some mechanism will bile, it will, this liver will modify the drug and it will send to the small intestine. From small intestine along with solids the drug will come out. So here what our body is doing, body is trying to throw the drug outside. If it is a water soluble, it will come in the form of liquid from the kidneys, and if it is solid, it will be thrown out from the small intestine in the form of a excreta. And in renal excretion, three parts are important. Renal means kidney. This renal excretion is having glomerular filtration and tubular reabsorption and tubular secretion. These are the three important points, and in these three ways this renal excretion will take place. Let us get into the picture and we will easily understand. Okay, this is nephron. In this nephron you can see blood is flowing in this side, and you can see a network of veins is there, very small veins, and they will have pores, and there is a possibility of this drug is coming out. In this glomerular capsule, these veins will be there. So this blood which is traveling into the glomerular capsule, they will have a networking. After rotating into this, the blood will flow to outside and it will go, and while going out also there is some mechanism will take place. After filtrations only it will go back. So here we are going to see three types of the, just I told you, glomerular filtration. Filtration means, you remember a tea. When you filter, what will you do? You will filter a solid and liquid. When you prepare a tea, you take the filter and you will pour the tea. What will happen? Whatever the solid part is there, it will remain in the filter, and automatically liquid will come into the cup. Similarly, when you take a glomerular filtration, here the tiny solids which are drugs, they are having pores. The capillary action is there, so the drug molecules they will come into glomerular this capsule. Automatically they will be traveling into urine duct. So that means this is the first type. So first type is glomerular filtration. In this filtration, drug in the blood is filtered. So when it is filtering, this drug is throwing out, is having a positive and negative charge and polar nature. They are having these pipes, they are having somewhat bigger holes compared to other nerves. They will have some bigger holes, and through these bigger holes this drug will be sent into this glomerular capsule. After that, this drug will be again thrown into the pipe. When it is going away, it can be a fat, mostly it will be fat soluble. You can see this is fat and this is drug. So drug and fat they are combining and they are moving away. Only here the fat part is not coming into the glomerular. Try to remember. Only the drug which is water soluble is coming into this capsule. After that, this fat and drug which is having a bonding, they will be going into the vein. When they are traveling, in this also while they are going, they will have anions and organic anions and organic cations. These anions and cations they will be separated, and they are also thrown into this blood, which is considered as a rebounding. And okay, third one is this tubular secretion. This tube it is giving a secretion. So here the drug it is giving, again it is flowing into this glomerular tube. When it is coming, this is called a secretion. And second one is, it is reabsorption. Reabsorption means already the drug which is thrown into the urine, automatically this duct it will be coming into the pipe. If the body feels this drug is important, it can take back the drug into the blood vein again. If it is necessary, this drug will be taken out, and that is reabsorption. So we are having 3 points which you are supposed to remember. Glomerular filtration. Here the filtration part is taking place. Tubular reabsorption. Already when it has been in the tube and it is getting back, that is reabsorption. And secretion is leaking. So from the tube it is leaking. So one is filtering, one is taking from the tube, third one is tube secretion. You try to remember this figure. First one, it is filtering. Second one, it is taking back from the urinary tract, and third one, it is a leakage of the drug will be from the funnel system. Now I am giving the points. The mechanism of excretion of the drug by the kidneys. This involves three main mechanisms. One, glomerular filtration of unbound drugs. When the drug is unbound, then only it will be filtered from the glomerular. And active tubular secretion. From the tube it is secreting, it is coming out. So actively the drug it is coming from the secretion of the tubes, and mostly they are protein bound drugs are transported. Anion, cation. If they are having an anion molecule or cation molecule, then only they will have tubular secretion. Third one is passive tubular reabsorption. Reabsorption, that means already it has thrown into the pipe and we are taking back. Mostly lipophilic drugs, when the pH of the urine can have profound effects, then the extent of the tubular reabsorption will depend. And one or two important point: unused modified metabolites and toxic remains are removed from the body by the way of excretion. Mostly unused drugs, modified metabolites, and whatever poisons are there, generally they will be thrown from the excretion. These excretions are two types. Generally eliminated through the urine, that is kidneys, it is liquid, and from excreta we will call it as a feces. Generally when it is a solid, it will be excreta, and when it is liquid, it is coming from the urine. And if the gases are, when they are, you can volatile, like anesthesia, if you see, they are highly volatile. So highly volatile drugs, generally they will be going through lungs or sweat, or some of the hydrophobic drugs they will be going through sweat. So other foreign substances will be coming harsh to the body. If the otherwise, what is happening? If these all dangerous chemicals are running in the blood, they will do damage to the body. That's why our body is intelligent, and it will try to throw from the in the liquid state from the kidneys, solid state from the feces. The three main sites of the drug excretion are urine, that is renal or kidneys, or fecal excretion, which is called as fecal excretion, stool or rectum, or through exhalation lung. These are the three most important. And here comes the story. The total story I am trying to explain. Whatever we have studied, ADME we are going to see. So drug, when we are taking drug, there are two types of introduction of drug. This is enteral. Enteral means we are taking solids like tablets, or we are taking liquids like syrups and all those things. This is called as enteral. So solid drugs and liquid drugs, they directly go into stomach. When they go into stomach, here if the solid is there, they will disintegrate into small parts, they will dissolve. Dissolution takes place. That means they will totally dissolve in the stomach, and even if the liquids are there, they will dissolve in the stomach. Automatically, the absorption parts is taking place here. So from the intestine, through portal vein, it will go to, this portal vein will be there from stomach to, it will be having around 6 inches, I think. From here, it will go to, from spleen, it will go to this liver. When it is going to liver, they will travel to these pipes, which is called as blood circulation. So mostly this is a portal, and somatic is there. So which is called as distribution. This is nothing but the absorbed drug will be traveling in the blood circulation is considered as distribution. And this distribution may be, it may be active, passive, diffusion, osmosis, or endocytosis, or carrier mediated. And the drug, they can actually, we have seen in the cell, if it is a protein, directly it will go. If it is having a smaller molecule and water soluble, they will have a passive. And a diffusion is there, if from cavities it can go. Osmosis, due to membrane, this osmosis takes. Endocytosis, a fat layer will come around it and it will take, which is called as endocytosis. Carrier modified, a carrier will, fat carrier will hold it and it will take. Like this, there are different methods to carry the drug in the blood. So automatically, this drug, whatever we have taken, that will come into intestine. From here, it will go to liver, which is called as distribution. After distribution, automatically the reactions here takes place is considered as metabolism. This metabolism, it is phase 1 metabolism and phase 2. In phase 1, mostly the enzymatic oxidation reductions will take place, whereas in phase 2 case, there is different reactions will occur. Here a addendum, a group from outside will add to the phase 2. When the additive is coming, it will help with the molecule, which is a fat soluble molecule, to come into liquid or water, which is phase 2. So phase 1 and phase 2 reactions will occur. we will call it as metabolism. They will come to nephrons where the elimination takes place. If the molecules are water soluble and very small, directly they will be coming from the urine. If they are not from this, they will go to duodenum, which is having a link here, small intestine. From solids, it will be coming into big intestine and they will come in the form of solid excreta. So excreta can be a liquid or it can be a solid. Like this elimination takes place. So ADME. So adsorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. And if it is a parenteral, that means we are giving injection. Parenteral is nothing but you can use a liquid directly thrown into your cell, or it can be coming into the hepatic, or it will be coming into the nerve. When it is coming into the nerve, mostly they are liquid, and even if it is a solid, they will be dissolved in water and they will be given. So if it is an injection, we will call it as parenteral, or it is called as enteral. So enteral is solid and liquid. Parenteral, it will come into the bloodstream directly. So their absorption part will not be there in parenteral. Here the liquid directly they will go and they will distribute. After distribution, the same logic, ADME will be taking place. The drug will be modified and excreted. When used, and it will be excreted. This is the story about the terminology and medical chemistry.